Well, thanks for joining me today. Today we're talking about two oldies but goodies. Two sort of late model, vintage, call them what you will, out of production, fully balanced amps. On my right side here, the AudioGD NFB-1AMP. On my left side here, the original Schiit Mjolnir V1. Both of these to me represent exceptional value for dollar. And the reason I wanted to talk about these is because I feel like in our, there's going to be a lot of me heaving things around today. I feel like in our hobby here, headphones in particular, not just audiophile stuff, that there is this this sort of love of all things new, and this sort of universal belief that anything that's the last model or the last generation is, sort of worthless and has been completely trumped by the latest and greatest thing. And I don't see that as much in the speaker, the two-channel hobby. I feel like there's more appreciation for past gear, that people understand that high-quality component gear in the used market represents incredible value for money, and just because something's a few years newer doesn't mean that it's automatically better. So that's kind of the background rant to this today. But I want to bring these two forward because they have a lot of similarities and they have a lot of differences. They're both somewhere around the $350 mark used. They're both, like I said, out of production. They're both fully balanced amps. They're sort of Class A or equivalent. We can talk about that with the Schiit in a minute. They both feature very high-end components inside. They're both, they're analog amps. They're not no digital circuits here. They're made from nice materials. The build quality is high. So, and they're both incredibly powerful. These are both somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 watts. So these are, like I said, very similar in a lot of ways, but they're also different. And so I want to sort of highlight some of the ways in which they offer different user experiences and different sort of things you might care about. So anyway, let's start with the AudioGD. So this is a Chinese company. You can order directly from them. Shipping times take a minute. Again, this is out of production, so we're really talking about probably buying on the used market. This is based off of, I guess, the Master 9 architecture. And it's a headphone amp, ostensibly, but it's also a preamp, right? Because it's got 2 sets of balanced ends, 2 sets of single-ended ends, and then balanced out and single-ended out, as well as the ACSS. These, I think that might just be AudioGD proprietary. I don't know if anyone else uses it. It's supposed to be very high-fidelity interconnects. Like if you're going from their DAC to their amp, you could use them and see some benefit. I don't know. I don't have anything else that uses them, so I've never hooked them up. Anyway, out the front, you've got your single-ended 1/4 inch, and then you've got your 4-pin balanced XLR. You've got, in and output selections, and you've got high-low gain, and then you've got this really nice, it's a volume knob. As I say, it's a relay-based volume knob, so it's got the little clicky. I don't know if you can hear it. It's much louder when it's actually on and the relays are active. But they talk a lot about the architecture of this and are, very proud of it. And really the net of it is just supposed to be an incredibly balanced left and right channel with no sort of, degradation of the signal quality or noise. Something interesting about this amp, it has these little short detectors, so if you've got signal coming into 2 different inputs, it'll sort of short itself out to sort of protect itself and keep the signal totally pure. There's some jumpers inside that you can take out, which I took out because I found that feature sort of annoying. But I like the sort of the thoughtfulness of these guys, of how they're really going for such a purist thing. The inside's very pretty. You can see it on some other videos or on their website if you crack it open. But obviously this is a company that's spending a lot of energy designing really nice boards. The case is all aluminum, so you don't get any like sort of steel connectivity, and there's like a wall in between that separates the power, the input and the output. So anyway, how's it sound? It sounds fantastic. I would say, like, let's just sort of do comparison between the two of these high-end late model amps. So this is way more focused on detail and separation, resolution. It's like a thinner, kind of more hi-fi sound, I would say, like a more like, if that makes sense to you. It's very articulate. It's very clean. It's got a lot more space and air. It sort of feels very lively. I may have used this analogy before, but I sort of equate it to like a featherweight boxer, you know, very light on its feet, moves around. Does it have the biggest impact, the biggest weight, the biggest slam? No. But if you like something that feels really dynamic and alive and is really bringing forth a lot of clarity and separation, then this is a very capable amp and something worth considering and hard to beat at its price in the used marketplace. And look at this honking remote. Look at that thing. This thing weighs a full ton. I think they also made a cheaper remote. I don't know if there was like a choice when you ordered it. Anyway, that's the fancy remote. So let's head back to local shores here in America and look at the Schiit. So this is the Mjolnir. This is the first generation of it, and this guy was produced from, I think, 2012 to 2015. I don't know if I mentioned on the AudioGD. I think that's like best guess is maybe 2014-ish to 2019-ish, but you know, don't hold me on that one. The literature is a little sparser. So this guy is a cyclotron in its architecture, which I don't know a ton about. I think that it was originally sort of in the era of tube amps, a design, and I guess the benefits in solid state and in tube as well would be sort of a linear frequency response, very sort of, you know, fast transient handling, and sort of a with the I guess there's no output coupling transformer, so you get sort of and no global feedback, so you get sort of extended frequency response. Words, lots of fancy words, a little above my pay grade. I think it sounds great. That would be the short answer. So the AudioGD is 8 watts into 40 ohms. This is 8 watts into 32 ohms. So I guess a smidge powerful, more powerful. But again, I like these things in milliwatts. 8,000 milliwatts. This thing is a beast. It's super heavy. Again, you know, really nice chassis. It's got some steel. It's got this big piece of aluminum bent around it. This guy is the opposite in terms of features. Dead simple. You get, you know, one set of balanced in, one set of singled in, and then you get your pre-out, and then you switch between balanced and single into back here. The assumption is you're not switching very often because it's in the back, but then the power switch is also in the back, so that's the Schiit way. And then out the front you have you know, your 3-pin left and right channel, or your 4-pin balanced, and that's it. No single-ended out the front. I think if you try to use like this into a single-ended adapter, it'll it has a switch, it'll just turn itself off. So why would you choose this much simpler beast over the AudioGD with its feature-laden things? This guy's sound is, you know, very much the Schiit sound. If you've heard their other stuff, it's thick, it's full, it's got a very forward, like the mid-range is really easy, like really consumable, really, you can just grab it, it's right there. The sound is sort of closer in overall. I feel it's got more fluidity, you know, it feels like, yeah, it's just got a more sort of organic, fluid vibe, whereas the AudioGD is, you know, sort of more tight in separation and, you know, more articulate. The sparkly bits in this, like the upper high bits, can feel a little softer maybe than I might like in my ideal listening, but it's just got great weight and impact, and the bass is much bigger and much deeper on this guy. It's a really enjoyable listen. It's hard to choose. I mean, it kind of comes down to what you're pairing it with. If you're pairing it with a very precise, articulate headphone, then the Schiit would probably be what I choose. If you're pairing it with more of a softer headphone, then, you know, definitely something like the AudioGD that's going to bring out more detail. They're both super powerful. So I, you know, at 8 watts or so each, you know, these can power super challenging headphones like the Sesfaras or the HE6s, you know, things that are sort of notoriously hard to drive, Argons, no problem. These handle it well. You know, are they the best thing I've ever heard with this as far as no, but you know, that's a crazy expensive pair of headphones, and I don't know if you're you know, sort of budget shopping with your amp for pairing, but they will run them and they do sound really nice. I guess to sort of wrap it up, I sort of call this one the technician, right? He's more subtle, he's more nuanced, he's got lots of features, very technically capable. I'd call this the bruiser, right? He's got more impact, he's got more excitement, very feature limited, and you know, his pinky will not be up while drinking tea. So two amps that I think are fantastic to this day, even though they've been out of production for a handful of years. I really encourage everyone to think about what their dollars against a new amp can do in the used market and explore some of these really fantastic products. Some of these things, like the Schiit, that, you know, there were relatively limited quantities because its production run was relatively short till they went to the tube hybrid variant, which has a different architecture. These might, you know, end up being a little bit collectory. They may actually appreciate in value. I don't know about the AudioGD stuff. It's really nice, but you know, it doesn't quite have the sort of fit and finish that you get from the Schiit stuff in terms of the build. The electronics, I think, are fantastic and a lot of attention to detail. But anyway, I think they're both really interesting. I think there's other really interesting stuff as well. But I'm hoping to just kind of open people's eyes up to like what kind of quality you can get in analog electronics at this price. So that's it for now. Signcraft signing out.